Tonight, we turn away from the noise of the modern world and step quietly through a doorway in time into a land where the mountains do not hurry, where the rivers do not apologize for their stillness, where the ancient and the living exist together, without conflict, without question. This is Feudal Japan, a land of stone torii gates, standing patient in the fog, of cedar forests so old and so dense that sunlight must negotiate its way down to the earth below the temples, the villages rest. Clusters of wooden homes pressed gently into the hillside, as though the land itself had made room for them. Dark tiled rooftops, slick with rain, catch what little moonlight filters through the clouds and return it as a dull, beautiful shine of ink-black rivers, carrying the reflections of stars that disappeared from the sky hours ago. The season is late autumn, that tender, melancholy time when the maples have surrendered their last red leaves and the hills wear a quiet, dignified grey. Tonight it rains, not violently, not with any urgency or declaration, but softly, the way a secret is shared between old friends. A patient rain that has been falling since long before nightfall and will still be falling long after dawn has come and gone. The mountain temples receive it without complaint. Their curved rooftops, dark and glistening, channel the water in thin silver streams down into the moss, down into the stone, down into the deep, quiet memory of the earth. Paper lanterns hang beneath the temple eaves, swaying almost imperceptibly in the wet night air. Their amber glow does not reach far, only a few feet of rain, a stone step, a puddle trembling gently with each new drop. But it is enough. Somewhere deeper in the hills, a temple bell sounds, low, resonant, unhurried, the kind of sound that does not simply enter the ears, but moves slowly through the chest, settles somewhere behind the ribs, and remains there long after the air has gone still again. The valley receives the sound and holds it before releasing it slowly into the mist, the way a cupped hand releases water, with patience, with ceremony. Inside these homes, life is still. Families sleep upon woven mats, beneath quilts of indigo and earth tones. Children curled beside their mothers, their breath slow and even, as though the rain has synchronized itself to them, or perhaps they to the rain. A single candle has burned down to nothing on a low wooden table. A bowl of tea, long cold, sits beside an unfinished letter, the brushwork still wet, the words still searching for their ending. Outside these walls, the night countryside stretches on. Bamboo forests line the hillside paths, their tall, pale stalks swaying in slow, graceful agreement with the wind. The sound they make is unlike any other sound in the world. A dry, hollow whisper, ancient, rhythmic, like the world reading softly from a book it has memorized. A narrow road winds between the trees, muddy now, marked with the shallow impressions of sandals and the deeper, deliberate prints of a horse that passed through here before the rain grew heavier. No one walks that road tonight, or so it seems, because if you look closely, just there, where the bamboo parts slightly, and the lantern light from a distant farmhouse just barely reaches the dark, a figure, still. A samurai stands alone at the edge of the path, his travel-worn kimono dark with rain, one hand resting quietly at his side, the other at rest near the hilt of his sword. Though there is no threat here, only habit, only the long memory of a life spent watchful. He does not move. He is looking up at the clouds, or perhaps through them, at something beyond clouds, beyond weather, beyond the small dramas of this particular night. His face is calm, not empty, but settled, the way a deep lake is settled, concealing its own depth, not out of deception, but simply because depth does not announce itself. He breathes, and the mist shifts faintly around him, as as if acknowledging his presence, as if the night itself has quietly made room. He walks on, soundlessly, his footsteps absorbed by the rain-softened earth, until the bamboo closes behind him and the path is empty again, and the rain continues, patient and indifferent, as it always has. Slowly, the quality of the darkness begins to change. It is a subtle thing at first, easy to miss. The black does not so much lighten as soften. The sharp edges of rooftops and tree lines begin to find themselves again, emerging from the night like memories, returning gradually with quiet insistence. Morning is coming, not lightly. The sky does not yet show color. There is no gold, no pink, only a slow pewter brightening, the way a mirror fogs, but in reverse, clearing gently from the center outward. The rain has eased to almost nothing. And then a door, wooden, old, its grain darkened with years of rain and oil and hands, slides open slowly along its track. The sound of it is the first human sound of the morning. A man steps out onto the narrow wooden porch. He is not young, but not yet old. Somewhere in that in-between country, where a person knows enough to be quiet and has lived enough to be grateful for it. He stands, hands at his sides, eyes open, not searching for anything in particular, simply receiving. He listens to the last of the rain, tapping on the porch railing, dripping from the eaves, in slow, irregular time. He listens to the bamboo, still swaying, somewhere beyond the garden wall. He listens to the silence beneath all of it, that deeper quiet which the rain has not interrupted, but only made more visible. He breathes the mountain air. It is cold, clean, carrying the smell of wet cedar and stone, and the faint, sweet decay of autumn leaves, the perfume of a world in honest transition, hiding nothing. As the morning light spreads across the valley, it does so without announcement, without ceremony, arriving the way it always has, slowly and with great patience. The darkness that held the valley through the night does not retreat so much as dissolve, as though it were never truly solid, only borrowed, only resting here, until the light remembered to return. And with the light comes movement. More doors begin to slide open, one by one, along the narrow lanes of the village, each one releasing a small breath of warmth into the cool morning air. Families emerge slowly, unhurried, their bodies still carrying the heaviness of sleep, their eyes adjusting to the grey-white softness of the early sky. Children rub the last of their dreams from their eyes, standing in doorways, barefoot on cool wooden boards, suspended in that tender threshold between one world and the next. Mothers move quietly with the unhurried efficiency of long routine. Fires are coaxed into life beneath iron cooking pots, small and patient flames, fed with cedar wood and purpose. Soon, the scent of rice drifts through the village, mixing with the smell of cedar smoke and the clean, unperfumed honesty of mountain air. Not every moment in feudal Japan is devoted to labor. Not every hour belongs to duty. Children, it seems, have always known this. In every age, in every corner of the world, a child will find the space within a day to simply play. Through the narrow lanes they chase each other, breathless, delighted, their laughter echoing off the close wooden walls, bright and unself-conscious. A rolling hoop, guided with great concentration along an uneven path, a spinning top, set in motion and watched with the intensity of a scholar, as though its every wobble contains some secret worth studying. And there, a small carved animal, worn smooth by many hands before this one, held in small, careful fingers, as though it might yet become alive. These were made slowly, with a knife and patience and love, by the hands of a father or a grandfather on a quiet evening by firelight. For these hours, the responsibilities of adulthood feel very far away, and the village elders, watching from doorways and low porches, do not hurry them. They remember. Beyond the village, the farmers have already begun. They rose before the light, before the children stirred, before the cooking fires were lit, when the world was still dark. Now they move through the rice fields, those extraordinary mirrors of the sky, flat, shallow water stretching in careful rows, reflecting the morning clouds, the distant hills, and the slow arc of birds overhead. Bent low over the water, workers plant young rice shoots, one at a time, each one placed with deliberate care at precisely the right depth, the right distance from its neighbours. The work is slow. The work is demanding. Yet there is no complaint here, because these fields are not merely crops. They are the continuation of everything. Many families have worked the same land for generations. Their knowledge passed from parent to child, quietly, the way the most essential things are always passed. As the sun rises higher, people begin making their way toward the market. The market is the heartbeat of the village, the place where the private world of each household meets the shared world of the community. Merchants raise wooden shutters, revealing the careful arrangements within. Fresh vegetables, still carrying the cold of the morning earth. Rice in cloth sacks. Tea leaves, their dry fragrance rising into the cool air. Fresh fish, woven baskets, ceramics, cloth folded and displayed with the pride of the weaver. Slowly, the square fills. Voices rise into the morning air. Not loud, never loud, but present and layered. The comfortable familiarity of people who have known one another their whole lives. Near one corner of the market, a little apart from the noise and movement, a potter displays his newest work. Bowls, cups, storage jars, each one shaped by hand. No two exactly alike. Every bowl that holds the morning rice, every cup that receives the evening tea, was made by a specific person on a specific day with specific hands. The process demands patience of a rare kind. Clay gathered, prepared, shaped, fired, and cooled, that cannot be rushed, that will not be hurried. Customers examine each piece carefully, looking for the particular quality that cannot be named, but is immediately felt when a well-made thing is held by a person who understands that some objects deserve to outlast their makers. Not all trade travels by road. Not all connections are made on foot. Nearby, a river threads its unhurried way through the valley, unaware, as rivers always are, of the human lives arranged along its banks. Flat-bottomed boats drift with the current, their hulls sitting low in the water, heavy with cargo. Rice, timber, tea, supplies. Moving between communities the mountains have separated. Boatmen guide their vessels with long poles, reading the river the way others read text, feeling its language through the wood. The river asks nothing in return. It simply moves, as it has always moved, carrying whatever is placed upon it toward wherever it is going. Others turn their steps in a different direction, upward, along stone pathways that climb gently into the hills. Passing beneath a great wooden gate, visitors leave something behind. The noise of the marketplace, the small urgencies of the daily world, the sense that time is passing quickly. Inside the gate, time moves differently. The air is cooler here. Still, carrying the faint, persistent scent of incense, the smell of intention, of something set apart from the ordinary. Temple bells ring softly in the distance, their deep tones taking a long time to leave the air, as though reluctant to end. Within the temple grounds, monks move through their morning hours with a quality of attention that is immediately recognizable and not easily described. They sweep the stone pathways, their strokes unhurried and complete, as though the sweeping itself, and not the clean path it produces, is the point. They tend small gardens where raked gravel and carefully placed stones arrange themselves into landscapes that mean something, that each observer must discover for themselves. And in courtyards open to the sky, they sit simply, breathing, watching the movement of their own thoughts, the way a person might watch clouds, with interest, but without attachment. The purpose is not escape from the world, but a more complete arrival within it. That stillness has its own intelligence. That slowness, chosen deliberately, is not the same as falling behind. Elsewhere, in a courtyard swept clean before dawn, another kind of discipline is underway. Young samurai stand in rows, wooden practice swords held with both hands, their backs straight, their expressions carefully controlled. The wooden blades strike against each other, a dry, clean sound, each impact the result of a movement rehearsed so many times the body has begun to remember it without being asked. Discipline, not the discipline of punishment, but the discipline of the self. Respect for the instructor, for the practice, for the opponent across from you, whose growth is inseparable from your own. Patience, the understanding that mastery is not arrived at, but approached, one repetition at a time. For a samurai, mastering oneself is considered the greater task, the truer sword. And so they trained, morning after morning, becoming, gradually and without ceremony, the people they are meant to be. The morning cool gree has long since burned away, leaving in its place a sky of pale winter blue, thin and clean, the kind of blue that carries no warmth of its own, but offers light generously, asking nothing in return. The village has settled into the rhythms of the afternoon, that quieter middle time between the energy of the morning and the descent of evening. Shadows have shifted. The ones that pointed west this morning now lean toward the east, slowly, as though the earth itself is turning its face away from something and toward something else. Near the edge of the market, a merchant sits in the doorway of his shop, not quite inside, not quite out, balanced on the threshold, as people in afternoon hours often are. His ledger lies open across his knees, but he is not reading it. He is watching the way dust moves in a shaft of winter light, the way a cat crosses the lane with complete indifference to commerce, the way two children argue briefly over something and then forget what it was. And this moment, quiet and unremarkable, is still a moment worth sitting inside. Along one of the wider lanes, women have brought their cloth out into the afternoon light. Long panels of indigo and persimmon, of deep forest green, and the pale gold of undyed silk, hung between wooden poles, catching the breeze, moving slowly, like the pages of a very large, very beautiful book that no one is reading, but everyone is glad exists. Every robe worn in the village, every blanket that kept a child warm last winter, passed through hands like these. That what surrounds us shapes who we become. At the edge of the village, a small tea house opens its shutters to the afternoon. Inside, the light is dim and amber. The smell of charcoal and green tea, and something older beneath both. A tea master prepares, each movement deliberate, each object placed exactly so. The bamboo whisk, the ceramic bowl, the small cloth, folded with the precision of ceremony. There are no shortcuts here. There is no faster way. There is only this way. Guests sit in silence, not the silence of people with nothing to say, but the silence of people who have understood that some things are ruined by words, and this is one of them. its end, the farmers begin their return from the fields. Moving along the same paths they walked before dawn, but differently now, their bodies carrying the day's weight, visibly, honestly, the way tired bodies do, without pretending otherwise. A man walks with his son. The boy perhaps 7 or 8 years old enough to begin learning, not from instruction, but from proximity. The boy walks close, sometimes matching his father's stride, sometimes falling slightly behind, looking at something in the grass. A stone, an insect, a feather, the world still full of objects that have not yet lost their power to astonish. The light is changing again. The thin winter blue of the afternoon sky has begun its slow transformation, gathering depth and colour as though the day is concentrating itself, saving its most beautiful gesture for last. Western hills are touched with amber now, a warmth the rest of the sky does not yet share, faint and golden, the colour of old lacquer, of candlelight seen through paper, of something almost gone, but not yet, not quite yet. The cedar trees on the hillside hold this light a moment longer than the valley below, their upper branches still bright, while the world beneath them has already begun to dim. Birds are returning to the trees, not in haste, but with the quiet purposefulness of creatures who know exactly where they are going and have always known. One by one, the lanterns come back to life. beside a paper lantern, her face briefly illuminated by the small flame she is coaxing into being. Warm light spilling across her features, then contained, gathered back into the lantern's paper walls, and sent out again, softer now, diffused. Other lanterns follow, along the village paths, in temple courtyards, at the entrance to the market, now closed and quiet, its morning energy folded away with the wooden shutters and stored until tomorrow. Begins to glow from within. Amber points of warmth distributed through the growing dark, like a constellation that has fallen gently to earth and decided to stay. The same cooking fires lit before dawn this morning have been coaxed back into life, fed again, patient as ever. Inside the homes, the evening meal is being prepared. Families gather at low tables, the day's separations ending. The farmer returned from the fields. The merchant returned from the market. The children gathered from wherever the afternoon took them. Everyone present, everyone accounted for. The meal is eaten slowly, without ceremony, but not without meaning. Because this, the gathering together at the end of a day, the sharing of rice, may be the oldest human ritual of all. After the meal, the village grows quiet. Children are returned to their sleeping mats, their eyes heavy before they even lie down. The day having spent them completely, wonderfully. burn low, not extinguished, but no longer fed, allowed to follow their own natural diminishment. From flame to ember, to the faint orange glow that will watch over the sleeping household through the hours of darkness until morning. Doors slide closed, one by one, along the same narrow lanes that opened them this morning. The sounds of the village simplify, voices fall away, footsteps cease, and what remains is what was always there beneath everything. The wind in the cedar trees, the distant sound of water, the occasional call of a night bird, and the rain. Because of course, the rain has returned. It never truly left, only rested, only waited with the patience that rain, like all ancient things, possesses in abundance. It falls now on the temple rooftop, on the dark tiled surfaces of the village homes, on the bamboo forest where a samurai walked last night, on the rice fields now empty and still, on the stone pathways of the temple grounds, on the raked garden, on the moss, on the bell, on everything, equally, without preference, without judgment. The same rain that has always fallen on this valley, and somewhere in the village, a door slides open. The same door, or one very like it. A figure steps out onto a narrow wooden porch, pauses, and listens to the rain. It may be the same man. It may be someone else entirely. It does not matter. These are the same, and will be the same long after any particular person has stepped back inside and closed the door and returned to sleep. Because the gesture is the same, the stillness is the same, the rain is the same. The dark hills beyond, the mist in the valley, the faint amber glow of a paper lantern somewhere in the distance. The valley holds its breath, lanterns glow, and the night, as it has always done, keeps its quiet watch over everything.